NYC gets 5x more tourists than Barcelona and doesn't shoot them with water guns. Facts: NYC has 5 times more tourists per year than Barcelona, 60 million vs 12 million. NYC has more annual tourists per local than Barcelona, 3.2 vs 2.7. NYC's economy is less dependent on tourism than Barcelona's, 4.5 vs 14. NYC's rent is more than double Barcelona's. And yet I only hear about Barcelona facing a massive tourism crisis that requires locals to shoot tourists with water guns. What do you guys think? Is there something special happening in Barcelona that justifies the response? Sources: I don't understand the purpose of this post. I was born and raised in NYC. NYC is one of the most expensive cities in the entire world and Barcelona isn't. If every tourist left NYC today and never came back, NYC would still thrive and be prohibitively expensive to most folks even in the US. Just because a city has an economy off tourism doesn't mean the normal people, the ones just living and working as an employee, are getting any benefits from tourists crowding, littering, and other stuff. Plus, folks in NYC are notoriously nasty to tourists because y'all stand in the big middle of the sidewalk, blocking everyone trying to walk to take your pictures. But it isn't that big of a deal ultimately because NYC is huge. Most people don't live in the high-traffic tourist areas, so there's nothing for them to complain about since only a part of their day involves dealing with tourists for 95% of the city, and for some of us, 0% of our day because we also don't work in touristy areas. Barcelona is not at all comparable to NYC. This comparison is quite literally apples to ovens.
Yo, what's up? It's Digital Danny here. You already know, the ultimate digital nomad, living the dream, globetrotting, making money while you sit in your cubicle. But hey, even legends like me need a little help sometimes. So here's the deal. I need you to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and get this, click on my Amazon affiliate links. I know, I shouldn't have to ask for help, but the game has changed. My dropshipping empire is about to blow up, and I need some quick funds to push it to the next level. Oh, and don't worry, you don't even need to buy the stuff that I recommend. Just click the link, buy anything on Amazon, and boom, a piece of the pie comes my way. Easy, right? You're helping me build my business, and you get to feel good about contributing to the next digital mogul success. Win-win. Now do your part.
I also feel that the rent issue will be much more noticeable in places where the salaries are much lower. Everything is already expensive in New York, while in Barcelona, when things get expensive for tourists, it's much more noticeable for locals with minimum wages around 15K. Here in Argentina, it was the same. For the past couple of years there was rampant inflation, but the problem was never that the government was printing money and giving it away. The problemas was the digital nomads, the war in Ukraine, the Middle East crisis, etc. Someone else just mentioned it, but 15% of Barcelona's economy is from tourism. That's a huge number. The city is intrinsically dependent on tourism. For context, 16% of Las Vegas' economy is tourism. Barcelona is essentially as dependent on tourism as Las Vegas. People in NYC aren't the nicest group of people to tourists either. They're just not organizing protests. NYC banned Airbnb well before Barcelona was even talking about it. It was causing the same housing problems people in Barcelona face. NYC is also a different type of city where tourism doesn't affect daily life as much as it does in a European city where the entire city is historic and has different things to see. Most NYC, Boston, Chicago, etc. tourists stick to small areas that aren't as disruptive to people getting to work. A friend of mine from Barcelona said, "These are the workless people who are unemployed or people who are not benefiting directly from it. Either way, they have to protest against their government, not the tourists. It's just a clown show in my eyes." The effects of over-tourism are much more obvious in Barcelona. The type of tourists the city gets also matters. Drunk, loud, Airbnb staying, staircase puking tourists are also more common in BCN. For the average resident, tourism as it is today is not seen as beneficial, and rightly so. The noises people have been making over the past few weeks have led to change, and banning Airbnbs is a step in the right direction. Barcelona should be a livable place for its residents first and foremost, and not a theme park. That does not justify dickish moves on the part of some, obviously. GT, but if the locals don't want tourism, that is up to them. IMO. Which locals? There seems to be a small but extremely vocal group of people against tourism, while the majority understand that a huge chunk of their economy, about 15, comes directly from tourism spending. GT, that is meaningless without comparing salaries. Average NYC salary is just over 73K, average Barcelona salary is just under 40K, about 45K with exchange rate. So residents of Barcelona make about 61 the annual salary of residents of NYC. The above commenter also got the rent figures wrong, as the average rent in Barcelona is about 1,300, while the average rent in NYC is about 4,200. So basically Barcelona residents make 61 the average income as NYC residents but pay only about 31 as much in rent. GT, small areas that aren't as disruptive to people getting to work. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but Midtown Manhattan is where a non-trivial percentage of white-collar NYC workers have to pass through, and it's absolute nonsense trying to shove through clueless tourists walking 7 abreast at the speed of a rheumatic turtle.
Hey guys, it's Digital Danny here. If you're dreaming about breaking free from the 9-to-5 grind and exploring the world while working from your laptop, then you have to check out this amazing book, Digital Nomad, The Complete Guide to Becoming a Digital Nomad in the 21st Century by Harry Holland. This book has everything you need to kickstart your digital nomad journey, from tips on finding remote work to budgeting and living cost effectively in the coolest place like Barbados, Rome, and Phuket. It's not just a guide, it's a blueprint to freedom. And guess what? You can grab this book and millions of others for free with Kindle Unlimited. That's right, with Kindle Unlimited, you can get access to this guide and so many other life-changing reads without spending a dime. So if you're ready to design your own adventure and live life on your own terms, click the link below and get started with Kindle Unlimited today. This is your sign to start making the digital nomad lifestyle your reality. Don't wait. Start your journey now. Click the affiliate link in my description of this video.
DNs come with their American Northern European salaries to places with relatively low salaries, renting out apartments for 1.5, 2 or 3 times the normal rate that locals are willing to pay. It doesn't take a genius, just a basic understanding of economy that most DNs don't have, to understand that this pushes up the rents, not governments, but local people. And it's warranted. The inflow of tourists, DNs, and foreign capital, with higher purchasing power, fosters speculation. Locals with capital, plus foreigners, to a lesser extent, will buy properties to rent them out to high-yield tenants, i.e., tourists' ardens, at the expense of local people, who are priced out, and long-term inventory, which becomes scarce or pushed out into less attractive areas of the city. In countries with LAX regulation, Colombia being one of them, this is harmful. There's a reason you see this issue in cities with a high number of foreign tourists and DNs, e.g., Medellin, but not in those which aren't as attractive to them, e.g., Bucaramanga. Airbnbs damage a city, even if those staying in them don't have this intention at all. And the negative economic effect is especially visible on DNs, who contribute little to the economy. Tourists at least have a higher spend per day. GT, just because a city has an economy off tourism. People keep saying this without knowing that Catalonia is Europe's 3rd biggest industrial center and only 15% of Barcelona's GDP is from tourism. Tourism is really the locust that eats other sectors there, not the benefactor. Government spending may cause inflation, but that's not likely the case here. Argentina always has spent money they don't have. This causes massive deficit, which the government solves with monetary emission, which causes inflation by increasing massively the money supply. I was a tourist in Barcelona earlier this year. During my stay, it felt like all tourism was concentrated into a tiny area of the historic Barcelona area. We did a bunch of day trips while there, and saw that Barcelona is much more than just that 1 by 1 kilometer city center area, but most tourist activities take place there. So wouldn't that mean that a majority of people living there don't actually have to interact with tourists at all? I live in Minnesota, not necessarily known for tourism, but we do have the Mall of America, which apparently is a big tourist place. I just avoid it and hardly ever see tourists. GT, in Colombia, locals with money, plus foreigners, to a lesser extent, will buy properties to rent them out to high-yield tenants, i.e., tourists' ardens. Locals? In Barcelona, it seems like foreigners who live outside Spain started buying houses to rent them out to rich foreigners like digital nomads. No boy Spanish comes in between. Foreigners buy the house, rent it to foreigners, pay the income tax to another country than Spain because they don't live in Spain, and the Spaniards get gentrified in the process. All that Spain receives is a meager property tax over the house's value. 15% of GDP from tourism is an insane amount for a major city. That's actually way higher than I expected. Like for context, tourism represents 16% of Las Vegas' economy and 20% of Orlando, and those are basically only known as tourism cities. Also, it's misleading to say that because tourism is a job creator. Plenty of industry is created as a secondary market to assist primary jobs. This doesn't mean those jobs aren't important. For example, finance and law are secondary markets because they are built to assist with a primary industry like automotive or tech. but what it does mean is that the impact at 15 is understated. Had zero effect. NYC has always been high, and less inventory to be had, but in Barcelona specifically I've seen 1,300 month for locals been turned to 3,500 month for Airbnbs. That's a 3x increase. And inventory has been gobbled up to use as Airbnbs, leading to a real local housing crisis. What do we think? We think you're completely missing the context and trying to demonize the people of Barcelona. New York, Manhattan specifically, is a huge island that over the last 70 years has built infrastructure that can handle the mass tourism it receives, due to the massive skyscrapers that allow the city to house many more people per SQF. Like anywhere, it can only meet so much demand, but it has been set up to do so. The population of New York is considerably more than Barcelona's, about 5 as a matter of fact. Barcelona is an old city, in a country that can't afford to build infrastructure like New York can, and its expansion potential is limited. So when rich investors see an opportunity to buy cheaper property, to take advantage of tourism in a city that doesn't have the same expansion potential, the people who are working or lower middle class are getting priced out. New York has always been expensive, so the impact isn't felt as harshly. Hence the protests. Your argument is nonsensical and not nearly the same issue whatsoever. Not only is it lazy, it's always one-sided. No mention is ever made about the locals who benefit from running Airbnbs, mum-and-pop tourist shops, restaurants, etc. They look at one metric, rents, and blame Nomads solely when rents are rising literally everywhere.
Alright, listen up, legends. It's your boy, Digital Danny, coming at you from, well, let's just say I'm not in my mom's basement like you. No, I'm out here in the world, crushing life, thanks to these beauties. The Apple AirPods Pro 2. Now you might be thinking, Danny, what makes these earbuds so special? Well, let me break it down for you, you tech peasants. First of all, noise cancellation is not just good, it's elite. These bad boys block out more noise than I block out haters. Crowded cafe? Gone. Crying baby on the plane? What baby? It's just you and that sweet, crisp sound, like the perfect wave hitting the shore of some exotic island, which I obviously know all about. And the fit? Oh, it's like these AirPods were custom built for my lifestyle. I slap them in for my sunrise yoga session Bali. Yeah, no big deal. Or when I'm taking calls from my offshore business partners. They're comfortable, they don't fall out, and yes, they even make me look cooler. Which I didn't think was possible, but here we are. Oh, and guess what? You're not fumbling around for a charger like your caveman friends, because these charge faster than I can down a coconut cocktail. USB-C, finally. Apple's catching up to the future, and you're getting in on the ground floor with me, Digital Danny. Need a hearing test? Boom, done. Need a hearing aid? Don't worry, Gramps, they got you covered there too. These things are like a Swiss Army knife for your ears, and the only tool I don't use is that little ring thing on the side. But hey, I'm too busy globetrotting and making deals to worry about that. You know what to do, legends. Links are in the description. Pick up your Apple AirPods Pro 2 now, because let's be real, you deserve to live a little more like me. You're welcome. Links in the description. Get after it.
It always goes to foreigners. A woman working as an escort in a KTV in Singapore got COVID. The whole discussion was about how she's from a different country and how could they let her in, and her job is illegal and easy to spread COVID. Nothing about the fact her client that most likely infected her or the other clients she infected were all Singaporean. Nobody cares about that part. That's what I mean though. It's not all of NYC that deals with it on a mass scale. You don't have large groups of tourists disrupting the entire city and surrounding areas. Just the hot spots. You also don't have massive influxes of people moving there as digital nomads that drive housing prices up because the landlords can charge a premium to foreigners and then don't want to rent lower to local people. If the nomads weren't nomading, they'd still be increasing the housing prices somewhere. Anyone living anywhere is increasing housing prices. Nomads tend to go to cheaper markets than their home place, so they're actually helping global housing shortages. I don't see how that number is accurate though. Barcelona has a population of 1.6 million, with 12 million visitors that would be 7.5 visitors for every local. While New York has 8.3 million, with 60 million visitors that would be 7.2 visitors for every local. Also there are articles from CNN, Portuguese and Spanish sources that report 26 million visitors in Barcelona last year instead of the 12 million mentioned here. Yeah, of the 2.2 million people I bet most are just here out of curiosity or to work remotely for short amounts of time. I meant of the 2.2M, there's got to be a large number of that who are making their remote tech salaries and driving up rents. I knew one person who moved from Colorado to Mexico City, and her friend's BF each were renting their own 1BR in the same building for when they'd have guests.
Hey guys, I know you love my videos, and I know you love me, but it's time for me to try to get paid so I can truly generate the passive income that will allow me to truly enjoy the next couple of weeks that I spend here on the beach in Bali. All right, fellow jet setters, meet your new best friend, the Lenovo 14-inch FHD touchscreen Chromebook. Lightweight, affordable, and perfect for running your business while you're bouncing between time zones faster than your mom checks your Instagram stories. Whether you're churning out SEO copy on the beaches of Bali, setting up your drop shipping empire from a hostel in Budapest, or cranking out freelance articles between flights, this Chromebook's got your back and won't weigh it down. With an 8-core MediaTek processor and just enough memory to keep those 47 open tabs from crashing, it's the perfect sidekick for every digital hustler. Need more? How about the fact that it's cheaper than your monthly Wi-Fi bill in Thailand? Plus, with its touchscreen magic, you can switch between business mode and Netflix mode with a tap. Because hey, even Nomads need some downtime. So ditch the bulk, keep it light, and make your bank account as happy as your wanderlust. Grab the Lenovo Chromebook and keep your freedom intact. #work from anywhere.